it's Alchemy Breyers, and I thought I would film a little Breyerfest rundown of all the models that Breyer have announced, given that Breyerfest tickets went on sale yesterday for in-person tickets, and the online tickets are expected to go on sale in March. Myself, I will be doing Breyerfest 2022, but I will be doing it online as I'm in the UK. So I'm sadly not going to be getting any of the special runs that I'll be talking about, but I am very excited to see some of the limited edition models in person and just be part of the event again. So without any further ado, let's start off with the celebration horse. So the celebration horse is Nicholas, and this is quite exciting. This is a new sculpt by Breyerfest, and it's a German riding pony. So I really like the colour with this horse. I like the fact that he's kind of this dun colour, and I think it's going to be super cute that he's a pony. Again, he is a pony, so he's going to be quite small as the celebration models go, but I think Breyer have outdone themselves by giving us a completely new sculpture for this year. So I'm definitely going to be getting the online kind of main access ticket that comes with this model, as I really want to look adding him to the herd. So very exciting, and I can't wait to see sort of the features that I'm hoping they'll do on this model for the online people. Next up, we've got to talk about the Stablemates as well. So Stablemates are a set of 4. Essentially, it's a bit of a gambler's choice if you get a Stablemate model ticket. You'll get one of those models, or I think VIP ticket holders, you will get the full 4-pack. And there is a chance for you to buy the 4-pack, I believe, as well if you're at the in-person event for a limited amount of sets. And there's a few different horses in this. So the first one, I believe, is called Breyerfest. I apologise, I can't speak German, so probably going to butcher half these pronunciations. So this is kind of the fell pony in sort of black forest colours, and glossy by the looks of things. Very nice. I do really like this little model. We've also got Spatzel, who is the Alboroso. I like the dun kind of colour on him in this pinto pattern, and he's a very popular mould, so I'm sure he'll be a favourite with fans. We also have this dapple grey dressage horse, which I cannot even attempt to pronounce the name on, with some what looks like really nice coloured braids on it as well. So very nice model. And finally we have Doppelbock, who I think is my favourite of this group, mainly because I absolutely love the vintage Clydesdale Stallion mould in Stablemate scale. And he's this really nice kind of light bay colour. I think he's super cute, so I might be tempted to also buy kind of the online Stablemate ticket. I think it's only sort of $25, or maybe $30 now with the price increases, but still to just have a chance at getting one of these 4 models if they're not offering them for sale generally. Okay, so next up, I thought we'd go through the special runs. So special runs, these are for in-person attendees only, although you can get them with pickups and things if you aren't able to go to the event. I'm personally not getting any pickups just because I kind of like to see the models in person first a little bit, and I am a bit nervous of the whole process. So I'm not going to be getting any of these models directly from the event, but I am hoping to track some down on the secondary market, hopefully when prices drop a few months after the event. So to start off with, these are in kind of no particular order. We've got Rapunzel. So Rapunzel is the Astrid, and this is really exciting. So this was the Premier Club release from 2021, but they've actually done her with a completely different type of mane. So it's a free loose flow mane rather than the kind of fjord type mane that we see with Astrid. And it looks like there's a little braid in there. It's a super cute colour as well. We've got it as a red roan. Now, I really like this model's colour. I'm not convinced on the new mane yet, but I will wait to see in-person photos before I make complete judgment on this model. But it would be one of my top picks if I was picking special runs this year, just because I really like the Astrid mould, and red roan is one of my favourite colours as well. So she seems like a really pretty model, and I'm sure she'll be a popular one this year with her being one of the newer moulds. Next up we have Brahms. Now Brahms is a Big Ben, and it's quite nice to see them using him again. It's been a little while since we've seen Big Ben used, but they've done him to a glossy black leopard happy with this really cool marking on his shoulder, which is called a mismatch. Apparently it's like a genetic variation. And I think he is going to be quite popular with people who like vintage models, but also just people who like leopard appies and different coat colours, because he's quite unique looking. And I do think Breyer have done a nice job of bringing him to life here. He wouldn't be one I'd particularly go for, just because I'm not a massive fan of the mould and not a massive fan of glossies, but I think he's going to be quite a firm favourite as well. The other model we have next is Franz. Now Franz is a blue decorator on the Spirit mould, so he's kind of cartoony anyway because of the mould, and they've done him to kind of this blue colour. It's quite a light blue, I guess. Not really my cup of tea, but I know quite a few people who do actually quite like him, so I'm sure he will be one who, if you're into decorators, will be a popular one, and it's nice to see the Spirit mould used again. Marzipan is the next model in our lineup. So Marzipan is a Wyatt done to a Palomino Pinto, and I think this is one of those models that the first time you look at it, you're kind of like, it's not really anything too special, but the more you look at it, the more the pattern and the colours draw you in, and I think Marzipan is actually one of the prettier models on the Wyatt moulds. It does remind me a lot of Meadowlark's colouring, just because of the kind of colour of the Palomino and the sort of patterning and the way it's done. So it does seem very similar to Meadowlark, but again, I think they've done a really nice job with the colour here, and I can kind of see where the Marzipan name has come from. Up next we have kind of a surprise one that got the hobby all guessing. So they did a little sneak peek for these bears, and everyone was convinced this was Misty just because of the texture of how they'd like taken the cross section. But these are actually 3 of the Breyer bears that have been done to represent gummy bears, so they're the non-horse special run this year, and they've actually been done to be scented, which I think is quite a cool idea. I've not really heard of them doing that before. So I think these will be quite fun, unique piece. I'm not sure everyone's going to go for them because most Breyer collectors are just there for the horses, but I think it's a cool concept. I like how they kind of tricked us with them, and I definitely want to see people's reaction to them on sort of Breyerfest vlogs and things when they come out. So if you do get them, please film your reaction and what you think they smell like, because that would be great. My absolute favourite special run is this horse here. So this is Stein. He's a gorilla on the Fireheart mould, again another new Premier Club mould being used by Breyer this year. And I have to say, I absolutely love the gorilla colour they put on him. I think it suits him really, really nicely, and I absolutely know he is going to be probably one of the most popular special runs this year. I've seen quite a few people who've already bought their VIP tickets putting him down as one of the selections, and everyone seems to really like this mould, and I think especially in this colour he looks really good. So I'm fully expecting him to be quite pricey on the secondary market, potentially a little bit hard to find initially, but I do hope one day I can track him down, as he is probably my absolute favourite of the special runs this year, and if we had access to the special runs he will be my number 1. Okay, so moving on, before I continue to talk about how much I love Stein, we have another of the Premier Club 2021 horses being released as a special run, and this is the Mare and Foal set from this year, who are Firefly and Hawkeye, and they are going to be made into some Bay Tobianos, and they are called LB and Spree, I think. Very, very nice models. I think the eyes look like they're quite detailed from what I've seen in the pictures, and I do really like this Mare and Foal combination, and probably in any colour they come out in I'll probably like them, because they're just such a lovely foal and mare mould. But I think again these are probably going to be one of the more popular special runs this year, and it's really nice to see them coming out with a new colour for them, particularly seeing them sort of as a different type of paint, as Firefly and Hawkeye were kind of more minimal type paints. So I think again these will probably be towards the top of my list. These will probably be sort of either number 2 or number 3 after Stein if I was doing a preference list for this year. Finally, for sort of some special runs that we know what the mould is, we have Landler. I think that's how you say it. He's a dapple rose grey Totilas and was the first special run that was released by Breyer this year. Again, I think he's a really nice model. Hopefully those dapples won't turn out too scaly when they do the real moulds. And Totilas is another popular model, so I think again this will be quite a popular one on the list, depending on what you're into. I think he seems a really nice colour and I quite like him, but I feel there's some others in the lineup this year that just kind of pip him to the post. And then finally, last not least, for the special runs, we have the rotating draft surprise. Now, this is the surprise horse for this year. The name, I want to say, would suggest obviously that this could be a draft horse, but I wouldn't put it past Breyer to maybe be tricking us in some way. If it is a draft horse, my number one guess is that it's going to be Shenandoah. It's a fairly well-loved mould, and it's not too new, which tends to be the theme with the kind of surprise horses, and it hasn't really been used for a while for kind of anything Breyerfest related. It was last released for the Collector Club Cardinal, which was the first horse released for the Collector Club this year. But I think he stands a pretty good chance. I think there's lots of different colours they could do on Shenandoah that they haven't done so far. Otherwise, we might be looking at Othello. I feel like there's a lot of colours already on Othello, or the Cleveland Bay potentially is kind of a slightly draft horse mould. And it's interesting that they don't really have any draft horses in their special run lineup, so maybe we are not reading too much into it and it will be a draft surprise horse. The other theory is that they could be trying to throw us off the scent, and some people have suggested that they could even be kind of different colours of draft beers, so going from like a really dark brown bay all the way through to kind of like a really light palomino-y type colour. In which case, if they were doing that kind of interpretation of the name, maybe we could see any kind of mould come up. I think it's interesting we haven't got a Salinero. I would definitely have put Salinero on the list somewhere for some kind of special run or limited edition, so I think Salinero stands a chance. He's not been used in quite a while that I can think of. So it'll be good to see. I think sometimes we read too much into the names. Last year the 7 Art Surprise, it literally had nothing to do with the colours or anything I thought. It was just a bit random. But otherwise, who knows? We'll just have to wait to see what turns up when they start being opened in July. Okay, so we're on to the limited editions now. So these are the models which, if you have an online ticket like myself, you can look at buying these directly from Breyer. And this year most of these have numbers in the 3000s total, so I'm hoping there should be good availability for online purchases. And I'm hoping the process will be nice and smooth, as in previous years, especially the first year they did online Breyerfest, it was quite glitchy and a bit of a race to the checkout. But I'm hoping they'll sort of iron these issues out by the time it comes to their third online Breyerfest. So the first model I'm going to talk about is Montanaro. This is a portrait of a Black Forest stallion, and I really like the shading on this model. I also think it's a really nice choice of mould, as I think a lot of the other draft moulds are a bit too heavy for a Black Forest horse, whereas this old kind of vintage Frisian mould does work really well for this breed. And I think he's going to turn out quite nice in person. As I say, I'm not really a huge vintage fan, but I do have a soft spot for this mould, and I think he's going to look really, really nice in photos. So I will probably be looking to purchase this guy if I can get hold of one. Next up is another of the traditional limited editions. We've got Chardonnay, who is a chestnut on the flash mould. He kind of reminds me of Avatar's Jasmine a little bit, but with kind of fancier socks and a bit of a nicer tail. So I do really like Avatar's Jasmine and the flash mould. Again, he's probably another one that I would be looking to collect this year, and I think he's going to be quite popular just because his colour looks so nice, and I think he will be a really, really super guest horse as well. So yeah, another one that I'm looking to buy. Next up we've got Chablis, I think his name is. He's a Wittenberger hunter, which is a breed I've not actually heard of before, so it's always good to be learning about new breeds and things within the hobby. And I really like the fact that he seems to be a really nice detailed shaded bay on the Idicus mould, with both braided mane and tail, which I quite like that variation. And I know he's been super popular again this year in sort of the selections of people choosing their limited editions for the VIP tickets. So I think he's probably going to be the most popular of the limited edition traditionals looking at him. But again, a supermodel, and I'm really happy that Breyer have put some thought into their portrait horses this year, and these are all right, nice representations of German breeds. So moving on from kind of the traditional portrait horses, we actually have an online exclusive traditional model as well being released by Breyer for Breyerfest. And this is a Rhenish draft on the Georg moulds. Again, a really nice colour, and they seem to really like this mould at the moment. It seems to be being put out everywhere. And I think he's going to be, again, very popular. But the good news is I think there's about 5,000 of them Breyer have announced. So his run number is going to be quite high. He should be pretty easy to get hold of. So he should be one that if you want to add him to the cart, you should be able to do that pretty easily. And that will be me adding him to the cart as well. So at the minute I'm looking at getting all 4 of the traditional limited editions. We've got a few other limited editions that aren't traditional models. So we also have a classic scale decorator. This is a horse called Black Forest, who's inspired by Black Forest Gâteau, which I think is quite a cute idea. Breyer seem to have done kind of a few cupcakey, cake style classic models, or Freedom Series models as they're now referred to. So I think it's interesting that they are kind of following that theme a little bit, and if you collect those models, then I think Black Forest would be a good fit. For me, I'm not too much of a fan, again, of kind of collecting decorators for the sake of decorators, so I probably won't be looking to get Black Forest, but he is very, very cute. We have got as well a few decorator stablemates. So we've got an online exclusive, again, in a Clydesdale Stallion stablemate who is done to look like a football. I think his name is Torellini. But he's very cute. I'm not a fan of football or decorators, so he's a no for me. But I think he'll be a quite nice addition if you're a football fan, or you know a football fan and you want to give them a Breyer. We also have a decorator on the new kind of twist sheriff mould. I think his name is Whittleback, but he's basically like a blue and white checkered colour. He's interesting. I'm not sure whether I like him or not. Some of me likes him, some of me doesn't. I might end up getting one, and then if I don't like it, I can always customise it, as I do really like this mould anyway. But he is kind of reminiscent of a Flash surprise model that they did a few years ago. I think it was the Stoneleigh surprise is one of them, something like that. Anyway, there was a Flash that was done in exactly these colours. So I think if you liked that model, you'd probably like him. But he does really remind me, it's literally the same pattern, just on a different mould and a different scale. Speaking of stablemates, we've also got the continuation of the Best of Breyerfest series, which I'm very happy about, as I think these stablemate sets have been brilliant the past couple of years. So there's a total of 5 models within that set, and these are all a throwback to Breyerfest of yesteryear. And they basically make mini models of kind of the raffle and prize models of that year. So we've got 5 models in total. We've got a Bay Croy, which is very nice. It looks like it's glossy from the photos I've seen, but I could be wrong. We've got a G3 Mustang, the running Mustang, that's a red dun blanket Appaloosa. Again, I think that's a really nice colour for this mould. We've got a Prince Charming to a Bay Tobiano, and I think this model is one of my favourites in the set. He looks really, really cute, and I think would do really nicely photo showing actually, those colours, because we don't really have him in any kind of realistic colours yet. I know there's going to be a Stablemate Club release of him in kind of a dapple rose grey, but it's nice to see Breyer using him as a realistic horse and not just a unicorn. The walking TB has been done to a dapple rose grey, and I think again is another one of my favourites in the set. And finally we've got the Cantering Warm Blood to kind of a light bay Appy. So I think these are a lovely set of models. I definitely will be trying to get hold of the set, as I do think the Best of Breyerfest sets tend to be really nice quality stablemates, and I do really like my set from last year, so I am trying to continue getting the Breyerfest sets. And then finally, we have a crystal model. So the crystal is on the Proud Arabian Mare mould this year, and it's called Lorelei. I don't collect the crystals at all, so I won't be getting her, but I think it's nice that they've chosen to actually do kind of more of a vintage history type mould this year for the crystal, as usually it's a more sort of modern mould, so I think vintage collectors would be quite happy with her. And last but very not least is the plushie for this year, who is called Strudel and does look very adorable. It's a little bay pony with some lederhosen on, not being like typical for Germany at all, but I think it's a really nice model plushie. I don't collect the plushies, so I won't be getting him, but very, very cute, and I like the idea. I think it's a nice souvenir if you are going to Breyerfest, and just to remind you of the theme. So those are my thoughts on this year's Breyerfest models. Let me know in the comments what you think of them, which one's your favourite, who you're planning on getting this year, and hopefully when Breyerfest comes round you'll get the models you want. I can't wait to see everyone's Breyerfest vlogs this year, both in person and online. It's going to be an interesting year to see how they do both online and in-person Breyerfest. But I'm really hoping the hybrid event comes together nicely, as I do appreciate it takes a lot of work to host both these events simultaneously, and I don't doubt that it's a lot of planning. I know there has been some disappointment about some of the announcements of how they've changed things this year, both sort of the access and how they do the special runs, but I think we've just got to see how it turns out, and hopefully it will turn into just another really fun event, and I can't wait to join the Breyer community for Breyerfest 2022. Take care and bye-bye.